Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Fortune Lady Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile. With the update from the latest ban list, I wanted to do an update to the Fortune Lady deck. It's a really awesome deck that it's been a favorite of mine for a good while now. Since the release of new support in Rising Rampage, we've gotten reprints for a good number of all the different Fortune Lady cards to definitely make the deck easier to build. I think we just need a few other Fortune Ladies fully reprinted. I think Wind, Earth, and Dark definitely need the reprints still. And then it'll be that much easier of a deck to build. Definitely pretty budget friendly with all the spellcaster support we have for the deck. But let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the Fortune Lady monsters, one of our main go-to monsters in the deck is Fortune Lady Light. This card's attack and defense become its level times 200, and once per turn during your standby phase, increase this card's level by 1, maximum 12, and when this face-up card leaves the field by a card effect, you can special summon one Fortune Lady monster from your deck. So this is your main go-to setup card, one of the easier ones to summon out into the field from the deck as well. And just that playstyle of giving you another Fortune Lady can benefit from the special summon effects of all the other different Fortune Ladies you're running in the deck, with one of them being our go-to tuner that we're running, which is Fortune Lady Past. With this one, this card's attack and defense become its level times 200. So they share this monster effect, just differing with the different levels of all the different Fortune Lady monsters. But with Fortune Lady Past also being our tuner, it's great for the setup to go into our synchro, which is Fortune Lady Every. But with this card, with the level gain and attack gain once per turn during your standby phase, increase this card's level by 1 with maximum 12 as well. And then you can target one Fortune Lady monster you control, banish any number of other spellcaster monsters from your hand, field, and or graveyard. If you do increase or reduce that monster's level by the number of monsters banished until the end of this turn, you can only use this effect of Fortune Lady Past once per turn. So with that setup, it works very well with Fortune Lady Light, just for the fact that when this face-up card leaves the field, you'll gain the special summon off of Light, and then the additional play off of Fortune Lady Past to increase the level, to adjust, which you'll need to set up for the level 7 play of Fortune Lady Every on the field. So you definitely want 3 of this. You can max out on your synchro plays as well, being able to rely on this card for a good number of extra deck monster plays to summon out. For the other Fortune Lady monsters we run in the deck, lower numbers, but that's just because they're that much easier to special summon out onto the field, with one of them being Fortune Lady Water. This card's attack and defense become its level times 300. So as you can see, we have a higher level Fortune Lady monster and increased power because of it. Once per turn during your standby phase, increase this card's level by 1, max 12. If this card is special summon while you control a Fortune Lady monster, except Fortune Lady Water, draw 2 cards. So with that setup of Fortune Lady Past on the field, if you have the banish to special summon, you can raise Fortune Lady Past's level and also summon out Fortune Lady Water, which I'll go over the play at the end of the video to easily do so. But that draw power will replenish your hand for how much you invest in Fortune Lady Past's play as well. So remember that. But only really needing 2 of this card. Once you have both of these special summons, you should pretty much have all the draw power setup you need as well for this card. And for its high level, it definitely does help, like I said, for some of the bigger synchro plays. For some of the lower numbers for the Fortune Lady monsters, I also run 1 Fortune Lady Dark, with the level gain as well being 400 for this level 5 monster. And also, if this card is summoned with this card, basically Fortune Lady monsters you control destroys an opponent's monster by battle and send it to the graveyard. You can select and special summon 1 Fortune Lady monster from your graveyard. So more graveyard plays with this one. It's why I'm just running 1 of it. It's more of a situational Fortune Lady. Same with Fortune Lady Wind, with this one being able to destroy, when this card is normal summon, a number of spell traps your opponent controls equal to the number of face-up Fortune Ladies you control. So once again, you can hit a good number of back row with this card, but just goes off of how many Fortune Ladies you have set up. And lastly, 1 Fortune Lady Fire, with this one also gaining attack based on its level by 200. And when this card is special summon in attack position by the effect of a Fortune Lady card, target one face-up monster your opponent controls and destroy that target. If you do inflict damage to your opponent equal to the destroyed monster's attack on the field. So with this card, you have the setup for each individual specific play. Like I said, I like the draw power more for Fortune Lady Water. I don't have Fortune Lady Earth in the deck. It's, like I said, once again, a situational play and one of the more difficult Fortune Ladies to summon out based on its level. If you were to run 1 copy of that as well, I would more than likely take out 1 copy of the next spellcaster that I run in the deck, which is Effect Veiler, my hand trap of choice in the deck as well, running 3 of this card. Just great to stop my opponent's plays, but also being a tuner and a spellcaster, it works very well with all of the spellcaster type cards that we run in the deck for that overall setup. But like I said, you can take out 1 of this card if you wanted to run 1 Fortune Lady Earth in the deck as well to run each of the individual Fortune Lady main deck monsters. And that is it for the monsters. We'll now move on to the spells. Our one go-to continuous spell is Fortune Vision. When this card is activated, you can add one Fortune Lady card from your deck to your hand. And once per turn, if a card you control is banished by a card effect, except during the damage step, you can activate this effect. This turn, monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects, even if this card leaves the field. And once per turn, if a card your opponent controls is banished by a card effect, except during the damage step, you can make the next battle damage you take this turn become 0, even if this card leaves the field. And you can only activate one Fortune Vision per turn. But that search power is a big help for sure. It doesn't say Fortune Lady monster, it says Fortune Lady card, so we have access to a good number of the other support in the deck, including Fortune Lady's Calling, which we'll go over in just a second. But with this card's also battle damage protection, even if it leaves the field, it's just more and more protection setup, which we definitely want to rely on in this deck, and why we're running a full maximum 3, because we do have a pretty low monster count running purely based off the fact of the spellcasters and the Fortune Lady monsters, so being able to rely on Fortune Vision for that search power is just another additional spot that you can basically count as a monster, but an additional resource on the field. And I also run 3 Fortune Lady Calling. With this card, if you control a Fortune Lady monster, special summon 1 Fortune Lady monster from your deck with a different name from this card. And you control also for the rest of this turn. After this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except for Synchro monsters. And you can only activate 1 Fortune Lady Calling per turn. So you're not very limited. We run a good number of Synchro monsters in the extra deck when you use this card. It just gives you more resources on the field. All you have to do is control a Fortune Lady, and you get to special summon 1 from the deck, which then you can have for your easy setup. But once again, I'll go over the play to do this at the end of the video for easily summoning out your Fortune Lady every. I also run 3 of the field spell, which is Future Visions. Each time a monster is normal summoned, target that monster and banish it. And during the next standby phase of the player who controlled that monster, return it to the field in face-up attack position. So it just gives you the option to call out your Fortune Ladies later on and then benefit from their standby level gain, but also being able to take care of your opponent's normal summon monsters for that turn will definitely take away from the resources they potentially wanted to use on the field. And I also run 2 Fortune's Future. You target one of your banished Fortune Lady monsters and return it to the graveyard, then draw 2 cards. So with Fortune Lady Pass, you're definitely going to be banishing a good number of cards, and along with Future Vision, for being able to return those cards to the graveyard, you'll just get more draw power off of it. So even if you just take away from that normal summon, you still have resources to draw into using Fortune's Future and Future Vision set up on the field for those plays to rely on. And most of the time with that banish, like I said, if they don't return for that play, you could just benefit off the fact that you got the draw 2 off of Fortune's Future. I only run 2 of it though. You really don't need as much of this card for the draw power because you have to have them set up on the field for that draw. We have some other spells more generic for spellcasters that definitely do help with the draw power that I prefer, which that card is Spell Book of Knowledge. You send to the graveyard either one spellcaster type monster you control or one other spell book card from your hand or face up on the field except for Spell Book of Knowledge, and draw 2 cards. You can only activate 1 Spell Book of Knowledge per turn, but this card relies on the spellcasters being able to even use our hand trap of choice in the deck, Effect Veiler, for the discard draw if you're not really having too much luck against your opponent stopping their monster effects. Using it for fodder for draw power of knowledge is a big plus there for sure. And I also run 2 Spellbook of Secrets, just being able to search out that card, or if you already have Spellbook of Knowledge in your hand, you can rely on sending this card as an option for Spellbook of Knowledge's draw power if you want to keep more of the Fortune Lady monsters in your hand for resources with some of your other plays. And then for some of the one-ofs for the spells, I also run 1 Terraforming. Not only does this card search out Future Visions, but we also run the 1 Secret Village of Spellcasters with this card and our Spellcaster setup. Being able to limit our opponent's spell card play is a big plus for sure from this card. So I like to run 1 of this. If I set up the Future Visions even and I don't want the card anymore, I can just replace it with Secret Village of Spellcaster and benefit more from the fact if I were to normal summon a Fortune Lady, it wouldn't be banished. I just have this lockdown on my opponent's set for their spell cards. I also run 1 Harpy Feather Duster. I would say it's definitely a lot more consistent than Fortune Lady Wind. Another reason why I'm only running 1 of this card for the spell and trap destruction against my opponent. 1 for 1 with Fortune Lady Light and Past both being targets. This is a very important card in the deck just to have options to summon out those cards that much easier from the deck to the field. And I also run 1 Monster Reborn, just special summoning resources back from the graveyard on the field to use. Same with the 1 Call by the Grave, being able to stop my opponent's graveyard plays, even if they were, let's say, to try and use Monster Reborn. And that is it for the spells. We'll now move on to the traps. I have the 1 Fortune Lady Rewind. You can increase the number of this card based on if you have any of the next trap lineup that I'm running or not. You target any number of your banished Fortune Lady monsters with different names and special summon them, but shuffle them into the deck during the end phase. You can only activate one Fortune Lady Rewind per turn, but depending on what you special summon, you can obviously use them for an extra deck play and avoid having them being shuffled back into the deck, or even if they are shuffled back, you can easily special summon them back out onto the field using cards like Fortune's Calling. It's your choice there. I only run the one myself, but that's because my other trap lineup is Infinite Impermanence, which, once again, going over this with each video that I do use this card, if you don't have Infinite Impermanence and you want to substitute it, you can put in another copy of Fortune Lady Rewind, and you can also put in 2 copies of Back to the Front, being able to special summon your Fortune Lady back onto the field for you to use and then raise its level next turn. Let's say you activate Back to the Front during your opponent's end phase, is another added bonus for sure of that card. I prefer it over Call of the Haunted since the Fortune Ladies do have pretty low attacks, so you don't want your opponent attacking into it and dealing you more damage than you could avoid by using Back to the Front. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. For the Synchro Monsters, your main go-to one is Fortune Lady Every. Preferably would like to run 2 of this card. I'll show what card you can take out for a second copy of this. This card's attack and defense becomes its level times 400. With being a level 7 monster, putting it at 2800 already is quite strong for sure. And once per turn during your standby phase, increase this card's level by 1, max 12. Then you can banish one face-up monster your opponent controls. And during your opponent's end phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can banish one other spellcaster monster from your graveyard to special summon this card. So not only will it set up the banish for a bunch of our other Fortune Lady cards, which we spoke of already, but also just being able to keep on special summoning this card back onto the field to use is what I love about it, because then you'll be able to banish one of your opponent's monsters by raising its level resource also. I don't know if any of you play Duel Links out there, but this was one of my favorite level 7 monsters to use in the deck, especially with decks like Light's Horns that focus on spellcaster type monsters for sure. For the other Synchro Monsters, I also run 1 Arcanite Magician, just another tech choice for sure, with level 7 being a very easy one to summon out. Needing a spellcaster monster, but also being able to destroy cards with the spellcaster counters that we set up on this card. I run 1 Black Rose Dragon and 1 Ancient Pixie Dragon, just for the field spell plays we use in this deck, especially Ancient Pixie Dragon definitely does come in handy there. 1 Stardust Charge Warrior. I don't go into level 6 synchro plays as often, but nice to have the option available. If you didn't want to run this card, this could be the second spot for the second copy of Fortune Lady Every that you can run in the deck as well. And for higher level monsters, I run 1 Borreload Savage Dragon and 1 Trishula Dragon of the Ice Barrier. When you can make these level plays, they're good powerhouses to run, especially when you're limited to synchro plays only from the extra deck. And for the Link monsters, I run 1 Link Karibo. Once again, Past and Light being level 1s. If you don't have resources to use and you just have that card, going for a more defensive Link Karibo is a good play for sure. Also 1 Barricade Board Blocker, going off of the field spell recycle. 1 Cross Sheep, 1 Crystron Halqifibrax, once again not being hit on the ban list, just works for the fact that this is a tuner-based deck, and that we can easily special summon resources onto the field for us to use for this card and our setup. Also 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Nightmare Cerberus, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, and 1 Borreload Dragon to finish off the extra deck as well. And as for our go-to play with the setup of our Fortune Lady Every on the field, and then relying on our Fortune Lady Calling, basically you summon out your Fortune Lady Light, and then you activate your Fortune Lady Calling, controlling the Fortune Lady monster to special summon 1 Fortune Lady monster from your deck with a different name. So you'll go for Fortune Lady Past, and this is the setup you want to rely on, because then with this card in your setup, you can target a Fortune Lady monster you control, banish any number of other Fortune Lady monsters from your hand, field, or graveyard. If you do increase or reduce that monster's level by that number of monsters banished until the end of this turn. You can only use this effect once per turn. So what you'll do is then you'll banish your Fortune Lady Light with the play for your Fortune Lady Past, and then any other from your hand, field, or graveyard. Increase or reduce this card's level by the number of monsters banished for that play. So with the preferred banish, you'll banish your Fortune Lady Light, and if you do banish another monster, basically boosting this card up to level 3, and then relying on Fortune Lady Every, which states when it leaves the field, you can special summon 1 Fortune Lady from your deck. So after it leaves the field, you will special summon your Fortune Lady Water, or depending on how you raise the level for your Fortune Lady monsters, if you just go for the 1 play, this card leaves the field to special summon 1 Fortune Lady from your deck, you will increase the level of Fortune Lady Past. If you have the additional monster to banish, you can summon out either your Fortune Lady Dark or Water. If you summon out your Fortune Lady Water, you'll get the spell. You'll be able to draw the 2 cards since it was summoned by Fortune Lady Light, so remember that. If not, and you only have the 1 card to banish with Fortune Lady, and then you can go for your Fortune Lady Dark. Being the level 5 and having Fortune Lady Pass at level 2, you'll be able to Synchro Summon into your Fortune Lady Every for that play. If you use the 2, you'll have your Fortune Lady Pass at level 3, summoning out Water, and then being able to go for that additional level 7 play. Or if you just go for the 1 Banish and have Fortune Lady Pass at level 2 and Fortune Lady Water on the field, and still getting the draw power, you'll still be able to go for a level 6 Synchro play using those monsters. But it all comes down to that being the easiest and go-to play, relying on Fortune Lady Light and Fortune Lady Calling to activate and summon out those monsters for your setup. And then being able to recycle potentially late game with cards like Fortune Lady Dark once it's summoned out makes it that much better. But you also have the destruction plays. It all comes down to what your opponent may have on the field and what play you want to go for, depending on what Fortune Lady you'll summon out also. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy the video. This is, like I said, one of my favorite decks to play for sure, with all the different resources, and also from one of my favorite characters from the 5Ds series. Carly was definitely one of the more funnier characters from the very serious setting of 5Ds. But until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.